What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Convicted Podcast. My name is Ryan, and we have been gone for some time due to all the stuff that's been going on over the past couple of years, but we are back now with some awesome interviews, and I really think this has got some good information that if all bands start applying these things, that we're going to start seeing the music industry become better and better and better. But right now, we got a clip.
Me any questions? Sorry, I don't know. And fuck them haters that pretend. If you wanna spot me, sorry, I don't know you. Cause I cannot sleep. Because I do believe.
All right, welcome back to the Convicted Podcast, everyone. Today I have Christian from Santoku Media here with us. He's going to be one of the sponsors with the Battle of the Bands that we have coming up over January and February. They specifically do videography, such as music videos. And would you say you even do stage videos too?
I think slowly bands are finding us, so they've asked us to do it. But you know, when it comes up, I occasionally say yes. It's not like the most desirable thing to do, but I will do it from time to time.
Gotcha. All right. Well, why don't we just go ahead and jump right in? Christian, why don't you tell us a little bit about Santoku Media? How did you guys start? Who are you guys? What's your background? And what are some things that you guys offer?
Yeah. So Santoku Media, we started back in 2019. Not officially. We actually just got our LLC the 10th of December. Like that officially came in, and we decided to fully go in with everything. So before Santoku Media was a thing, I was a photographer. I became a band photographer from just playing in bands, and I got to meet a bunch of people, and people noticed I was carrying a camera around with me, and they're like, yo, can you shoot for us while we're here? Like our photographer dropped, and I was like, yeah, why not? You know, I'm here already. Let me make a quick buck on top of playing a show and, spreading our band's name. And so it just became this thing where I'd go to shows and shoot. And then I started the company Santoku Media with another friend of mine. She's no longer part of the company, but she moved up to Tallahassee. But we started the company wanting to provide everything under the umbrella when it came to media. And whether that was, birthdays, weddings, quinceañeras, bands. And that's where I got the name Santoku Media from, is because a Santoku knife in the kitchen, when I used to be a chef too, is just a general all-purpose knife for whatever you're trying to do in the kitchen. And I was trying to, set up the company to be like that. And as time went on, I learned from other business models that being such a general wide company is not the most it's not the best business tactic. You can get a bunch of random ball jobs, but no one knows your company's identity. And after yeah, exactly. And after learning that, I was like, how can I focus this? And I was like, I love shooting music videos, and commercials are really cool too. Especially since commercials are also, there's a bunch of local businesses who always need some sort of content for their business. And I was like, let me focus it in some more. And you have what we are now today, where we are trying to keep up with the times by doing YouTube and everything, and also doing music videos and commercials for the local scene and local businesses. And yeah, in a short, that's what the company is.
Gotcha. Excellent. Well, I'm very excited to have you here with us. And for the rubric that we've been talking about with the Battle of the Band stuff. And again, if this might be your first podcast listening in with this, we've got a rubric that's going on with the Battle of the Bands that we're going to be judging everyone on. We have 5 different areas, and we asked Santoku to be able to provide the area that has to do with what is going on the stage, connection with crowd, movement on stage, etc. Because as a videographer, they have a very special eye towards what would transfer over into a great video, music video, or even, as you would say, a commercial, just a quick clip of live performance or something like that would be able to help pull people in. Because when you're on stage, you're an entertainer. People are paying money to come in and watch you perform, and that's important that you're giving them what they're paying for, in a sense. And even if it's a free show, they're paying in time. They're there. They could be doing anything else, but instead they're watching your band. Are you giving them something worthwhile to be able to see? So I guess let's go ahead and just start right in with this. The first thing that I see on the rubric that you gave was something about stage entrance. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So from just being like, from not even like a director's point of view or anything, like being just a watcher of just like shows and going local shows and even Warped Tour, bands will come on before they even come on stage. They'll have like a buildup. They'll have like an audio play. Or, for example, I remember I went to a Pierce the Veil show during their Misadventures album, and they did this whole like projected like video, and it was the craziest thing. And once it finished, they had like the spaceship from the video on the stage, and whether it's it was crazy. they all stepped out of it, and they were in the spacesuits, and I was like, I was over the top, but that was cool. Like I really dig that.
That's pretty dramatic.
At the time, that was my ex-girlfriend's favorite band, and I was really into them. But after that show, I was like, okay, I guess I'll listen to Pierce the Veil some more.
Oh my gosh. And
so, whether it's like a big entrance or like just a simple like build-up, I think Real Friends did it on one of Real Friends' tour. They did like a wrestling announcement thing where they came on stage with that. Yeah, and so I always thought it was cool when bands just don't, from right off the like gate, like they step on stage and it's just awkward. Like, are you ready? Are you good? Are you good? And it's like, they come on stage, exactly. And so it's like coming on a stage with that confidence, and even like if you're telling a story, you want to pull people in from the start so we don't lose you at the beginning. And I feel like whenever a band has like a good like entrance, what big or small, it really pulls the audience in before the show even starts. It can even get the crowd to come in to the front without even asking them to.
Right. Absolutely. And also, just to clarify, like some of the things that you were describing are big budget. Like have pyro go off or something like that. You didn't say that, but like to that extent. And you don't even have to, because not all venues are going to be able to accommodate that, especially if you're a smaller band, especially if it's like your first few tours. You might get a stage that you can only fit your drums on, and then you have to have the rest of the people on the floor. We've had that plenty of times. But like, yeah, even what Christian's saying, like if you have everyone is ready, everyone's been sound checked, the tech guy says you're good to go, it's like, okay. And then what do you do from you're good to go to starting your set? And that could be your first song has an easy entrance in, and then all of a sudden it ramps up. It could be, I mean, there's something that we did do one time. We decided to actually start with like one of the craziest starts that we had, and it was just like nuts. We were like throwing our guitars up and like all sorts of stuff, and that like really like caught people's attention quickly. So it could be the slow ramp up, it could be the hard hitting front, it could be the wrestling announcement, which is completely out of it's not going to be in your album, I'm assuming. So what's your show? What are you putting on? Like whatever that is for you, for your band. Absolutely. And
I
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But I remember there's one band, they're no longer a band now, unfortunately, but we started the company with them. We did a lot of photos and video work for them, but they're a band from here in Orlando called Years Off My Life. They have another band called like Eight Gates and all of them. And so Years Off My Life, they would start their show with one, I forgot which song they started off with. I think it was Icarus, maybe. But every time they would start the show, they were already good to go. Right after sound check, they would all turn around, and the song, it would start off with like an old TV show like audio of a guy singing, and it would like cut in static, and then it kicked into the song. And it was just simple as that. They didn't have to, do this dramatic walk on the stage. You're already on stage. You turned around, they let the music play, and then they kicked in.
Absolutely. What will make people want to pay attention to you while you're there? And I mean, everyone's used to if you're outside, get inside. I mean, that's been overdone at this point. I mean, it's up to you if you want to do that. That's up to you. I don't think that guarantees that people should pay attention to you or should come inside to watch you. So yeah, let's go on to the next one. The next one you have here is movement, like movement on the stage. How does it look? So why don't you go ahead and describe that a little bit more about like movement?
So, I mean, unless you're like even that band, but like unless you're like an acoustic pop punk band, it's like movement is like one of the biggest parts of the show, and just like your energy on stage presence. And actually, funny enough, I was in my high school, which is very unique, is we had a rock band class in my high school.
Really?
And yeah, so it was on our papers, it was called like musical ensemble, but like the class was broken up of I think 30 or 40 kids. We would break up into 4 bands, and the teacher would talk to us, and he was like a Grammy nominee guy, I think, but he would teach us about like, musical theory, teach us about like stage presence and, all that thing. And if you've been to a show, you wouldn't want to see like the band on stage looking dead. You wouldn't want to, you paid all this money to, come out there and watch them play and perform. And in like in a nutshell, movement was just how well can they be performers and entertainers like on stage. So let me see how I have it right next to me too. Like for example, I saw this band from the second to the first bullet point. I saw a band in Tennessee where the lead singer, they're a great band like musically, but the lead singer did this thing where his hand was behind his back the whole time, and he just was like that the whole time. And it was like the most awkward thing watching. And I was like, you're a great singer, your band is doing amazing, like why are you just staying in that one position? And this goes to all band members, is like, move around, change it up. And guitarists, don't look straight at your guitar the whole time. If you can help it, look at the crowd, sing along, feel the energy they're feeling. That
connection, being able to, like, it sounds like it's I got comfortable doing it this way, and now I'm stuck in being comfortable doing it this way. So I would definitely encourage you, if you're in a band and you're during practice is if you're in front of a crowd, always, and then like try different things. You can't achieve it until you start practicing it. And it's funny. It's like being a band member, sometimes the word practice, we're like, oh, practice. but it's serious. Like, can you play, if it's right for your genre, can you lift your guitar up and play something and then bring it back down? You can't do that first off. Like, you're probably going to have to practice doing that. Can you do a guitar spin and catch it and then keep playing at the right time? Or can you jump and kick at the right time, or whatever it is that's your performance? If you're stomping, are you lifting your foot up dramatically to just make that stomp? Or are you like, like just like a little thing that doesn't really even look intense, and it's like, why did you just twitch? Like all those things, like how does it look? And then also record yourself. I don't know, for bands starting out, this is something that helped us tremendously, is we would record every time we played, like at some show. We would force ourselves to watch it together and go, why did you do that? With each other, and critique one another in a friendly way. But like, we stopped doing certain things because we realized it looked dumb. And then we started doing other things and realized it looked good. And then we started like making it better. So if you haven't been recording yourself while even at a practice or at a show, I would strongly encourage you. And it can just be a cell phone. It doesn't have to be some like crazy high-end thing. You don't have to post it. You can just look at it yourself and critique one another. And
I mean, like, you don't have to post it, but sometimes if it comes out good, that's just free content for you guys. And
absolutely, clip it and post it. You got that? Bands, you nailed that guitar spin. Post it as a GIF.
Exactly.
Whatever.
And that it's funny you say some of those things, because that's my second point. Is during practice, don't just practice your instrument. Practice what you're going to do moving. Practice the like connection you have, which is spoilers to the next tip, but connections to your band members. Sometimes, which is kind of dumb for my band back, is we had a better chemistry like during practice than we did on stage. I don't know whether that was like some nerve thing or something. Possibly. But the chemistry was like, practice your chemistry, practice your movements even during practice. and just see where it takes you from there.
Absolutely. So how would you say that, like, you have band bond here, right? To look like a unit. What does that mean? To look like a unit on stage?
It's like if one guy's like over there kind of not minding the rest of the band, there's two guys over here just playing together. It's like what, do you guys have beef with that one member and you guys are just chilling? Or if that one member just can't get out of his shell, like look like you guys are enjoying playing together on stage. Because when you're a band, it's more likely you guys are a bunch of friends, or if you guys are becoming friends, and more than likely you guys are hanging out all the time. Like me, my band, we hung out all the time, and that was whether it was during practice, after practice, and so on and so forth. It's like when you're on stage, you don't want to look like you hate each other, you know, interact with each other, like play solos next to each other, hype up your bassist while he's playing. You know, sometimes the bassist needs some love. And so it's just like, while you're on stage, look like you guys work well together. And also, if you are going to choreograph something, do it the same way. Each one of you if one guy's spinning left, the rest of you can't be spinning right. So
right, definitely being in communication, making sure you look like it's working together, and that's for the choreographed parts, right?
Exactly.
Because and it doesn't work with every band and whatever, but if you have choreography, land it right, practice it together, make sure. And if it's a stomp, how high is everyone's leg being lifted or whatever, jump, etc., just to make sure it looks tight. But yeah, so one of the next things you've got here is lights, camera, action, and you're talking about lighting like on the stage. Can you discuss that a little bit further?
So, I mean, simply like I've seen a band come on stage and they I forgot who it was. I always forget the name of the band. They're a pretty big band, or pop punk band at least. And they came on stage and they're like, yo, let's get the lights to be red. And they just played the whole set with lights red and just fit that, like the ambiance. And essentially, whether you're like at a venue that can host big lights and shows, or if you're just at like Rest in Peace the Soundbar, where like they have at least like some sort of light flashing where it can sync up to the song, or just like work out something with like the light tech if you can. You know, not all venues will have it, but work out something with light tech that fits your music. If you're like, for example, we play with, or we do work with Ivy Paint a lot, and they had a song called, I think literally called Blue Light. And during that part of their set, it was blue. And whether it was flashing lights blue or just like straight blue, work out something that fits with your music. If it's a slow song and there's a strobe going on, like what the hell is going on? So,
yes,
you know,
lighting can
have consistent. Exactly. And for example, in movies and short films and music videos, lighting can set the tone, the ambience, the emotion of like what you're watching. And so like simply just working things out like that adds another layer on top of your music and your performance for an audience to visually see.
Absolutely. Now, the hard part is with this is not all venues are going to be able to provide lighting for you.
Exactly.
So it's okay to have, like, if you have, what's the term called? A stage plot, and it shows everything, and you have like a preference of like, hey, if there's lighting, we would request this. And it can't be super complicated because they might not even have a light technician that's in charge of doing something there. It might be just the sound tech that's like clicking a button to make it blue or clicking a button to make it red, but that's it. And then other places, they don't provide lights at all. It's just the stage is lit up. And another thing to take into consideration, that if you decide to bring your own rig of lights or whatever, which some bands do, and it's totally okay if that happens, but you've got to know your location because some venues can accommodate for your light rig, other venues can't. So be aware of that and don't push to have it your way, especially if you're one of the supporting acts or you're just starting out or whatever. You know, see what they are saying, adapt to the situation based on that. And also, I've even played certain ones where it was dark lighting and it was hard for me to even see what I was playing sometimes.
What you're playing, yeah.
So that's another reason why it's important to try to practice playing without looking at your instrument, because if you're on tour, it could happen that you can't see what you're playing that well. So getting that muscle memory down could be very helpful during those times. So it's all about adapting in where you are, for sure.
Now, I've never met a band who's brought their own light rig.
Now, have you? I've seen one. There was a band called Never I, and they brought almost like IKEA lamps, and they had it placed throughout the stage, so it kind of gave a more warm light to everything. And I think they had all the other lights cut, and it was just that. So that wasn't too intense, as long as they had enough power, like outlets, to be able to plug everything in. And then I've seen other bands that maybe play like really more atmospheric music, and they had like Christmas lights type that were just out, or rope lights or whatever, and they were had to plug that in, and then that gave ambience to what they were doing. So when I say light rig, I know that's an intense word, rig, but I really just mean whatever it is, whether it's Christmas lights, IKEA lamps, or a whole truss, or whatever you have. I've seen all of them, depending on the bands. But honestly, you can't always rely on that.
Yeah.
So adaptability is key in being a band, especially if you're going on tour. Adaptability. So let's go ahead and go into the next one. You have the crowd. So what is so important about the crowd?
So in short, the crowd will make or break your band. Whether if you impress them, they'll come back and swing for you again. If you don't, you're gonna be, working extra hard to somehow impress the crowd. And I honestly, like, this one came to mind because I interviewed the lead singer of Broadside, and he said, like, in short, he basically said, if you come to a show and you bring it, like, the best that you got, and you impress them, those 3 or 5 people who are not drunk and they enjoyed your music will come back and bat for you again at another show. And so some points I've added to the crowd was, like, involving the band, involving the crowd in sing-along parts, or telling them to get on stage. I saw that recently, and no one caught the guy who jumped off the stage. He just went splat onto the ground. He got back up. Like, I have it on film. It may or may not be the next for the best music video, but like, he jumped off stage, hit the ground, he got back up all happy, and I was like, dude, we heard your bones shatter in like 5 different places. Like, jeez. But yeah, so and then even just simply telling them to come forward to the front, interact with the crowd. Don't be afraid to interact with the crowd, because if not, it's like, how are you gonna, like, build that bond with them? Are you just gonna wait for them to come up to you after a set? Like, and then even talking to the crowd between songs. Don't forget to talk to the crowd. Don't forget, that's when you're going to plug. That's when you're going to even announce songs, that even tell who you are. I think
absolutely
early on in my band's career, there was maybe like 2 or 3 shows where we would come on stage and never say who we were, just because we were so focused on playing.
Right.
But yeah, don't, like, involve the crowd. Tell them to run around in a circle. Tell them to kill each other. Get the crowd involved in some sort of way.
Depending on who's listening to this, maybe some, like, friendly indie band, and they're like, kill each other. Wall of death.
Could you imagine?
Oh my gosh, get some country wall of death going on. But yeah, to piggyback on that, a couple things. One, if you want the crowd to do something a certain way, first show it. For example, if you want people to clap along to a certain part in the music, why are your hands not all the way up, like, getting into it? Like, everyone that can, if they're not playing, the guitarist or the drummer or the bassist, whoever can in that moment, depending on the song and the placement of the song, like, get them up and, like, put your hand up, have everyone shout it from the stage. If they don't have to shout it into a mic, you could just shout it, and people are going to hear that, and it's going to, like, bring in intensity. If you're wanting people to headbang to your song, you should be headbanging at that part, and because people adapt, and it's contagious. It's like they see it, and like, oh, I'm gonna start, like, I'm vibing now with this music. Like, get into it, for sure. But also, like, read the crowd too. Like, if they are hanging out in the back, you can say after the first song where you went all crazy intense, it maybe earned some credibility from them because you performed it and it was vibing or whatever. You could say, yo, you guys are welcome to come up to the front. We're not going to bite or anything like that. And leave it be. Don't like, come on, get up to the front now. You're here to watch us. Get up to because I've seen and heard that stuff, man. That's cringe. Don't be that band. Because then everyone's like, no, now I really don't want to. Like, let them be comfortable. Like it's not for you. It's for them.
Exactly.
So if they're comfortable with that, that's fine. By all means, ask. Have them try to come up, but like, don't be cringe about it, please.
And I mean, to even add on top of that, do it all with confidence. Because if you go up there and you're like, move forward, please. It's like, do you want me to? Like, are you sure? So do it, all of it with confidence. It will put on an even better show.
Absolutely. So you've got an above and beyond thing here that's talking about band members doing crazy stuff. You want to talk about that a little bit more?
So simply, I've seen bands who are just so confident and they just jump into the crowd, whether they take off their guitar and hop into the crowd and, they hop into circle pit, or even as simple as things like stepping out of your comfort zone. You're not just playing a solo, you step onto the risers or step onto the speaker and you start playing your solo. And it was just as simple as things like that.
Stand on the drum set.
Jump
off the drum set.
Exactly. And I mean, I saw one bassist climb, I think it was like a scaling rack on the back of like the venue. And it was a really sketchy venue. I'm not gonna out which venue it is, but it's really sketchy. And like the back like panel of the venue is like the styrofoam brick wall, and he started like scaling it, and behind it is like a wooden I said a wooden like shelves, but like it's like seeing him scale it, I was just like, yo, he's gonna die. But he made it to the top, and then he hung upside down like a bat and started playing his bass solo, and I was like, that's cool. But you don't have to go that crazy, but like, step out of your comfort zone. If I see like a band a day of, and I can kind of tell like they're just staying to their general areas, but if they like step out of zone, they hand a crowd member a mic, especially if they know the song. If they hop into the crowd, if your guitarist has a wireless receiver, and a lot of bands do nowadays, are very affordable. It's like, those things are cool. And sometimes like early on, before like there's barricades for your band, those things get people in to watching you more, because they'll come back just for the show.
Absolutely. And to piggyback on that, what I would say, along with everything we've been talking about, is like, you're going to have only a certain amount of time during your set. 20 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever it ends up being, depending on the show and the venue and the promoter and the TM and blah, 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 right? If people are watching from the beginning, if they're there during the beginning and they're watching your whole set, are they going to be entertained by the differences you bring with the songs? Are you doing the exact same movement every time? Are you just standing still the entire time? And also, I mean, think about it this way. If there were people from the beginning of the set and they had some friends that were off talking to another band, getting food, going to the bathroom, whatever, because there's all sorts of things that can happen. If they are missing are they missing your set? Exactly. Like, are you doing something such that the friend that was there can say, dude, you missed it. You missed 2 songs of crazy. Like, they did this during this song, and they did this during this song. It doesn't have to be all over the top. Like, the backflips and the pyro and all this other stuff. It doesn't have to be that. Like, is it different? Is it fluid and like a show and entertainment? And something else to consider, if you're playing the same venues to the same crowds, if you're staying local or you've been playing it over and over and over, are you changing to a different song? Are you showing a different thing? You've been like, maybe you've never done that guitar spin and you've been practicing it and like, okay, I'm going to do it at this home venue that we've finally been playing a bunch of times. And it's going to hopefully wow everybody, because it's completely different than your normal set. And it might surprise people. So that's what I would encourage, is like, is your set something people should want to see from the beginning to the end? Because they're not there just to listen to your music. If they were there just to listen to your music, they could put it on Spotify.
Exactly.
They could. Why are they there? To see your show. So put one on.
Exactly. And I mean, like, I guess since the last point, one of my wrap up points is that like it's all entertainment and like a whole experience. Like if you go to like a drive, like a question I have on our show, The Cookhouse, is do you go to drive-in theater or do you go to an IMAX theater? And for me, I would personally choose an IMAX theater because it's this whole experience. Like you have like this high quality audio, you have this a slightly larger aspect ratio, you have details you wouldn't seen before. It's a whole thing that you're bringing to your crowd, that like they can go from sitting in their bed or sitting in their car listening to music, now they see you live, and you know, you give them a reason to keep coming back to your shows. Because like there's definitely bands I love, but listening to them like just over Spotify is sometimes enough for me, and I'm like, cool, they'll come through next time and I'll see them. So
absolutely. And also, another wrap-up thing, do you want to share about what is the Cookhouse? What are you doing with that?
So for bands who will be listening to this and just anyone who wants to watch, the Cookhouse is our free YouTube channel show where you can come on and we will interview you about your music, your band. Lately, our structure has been, we'll talk about you, how your band started. If you're a single solo musician, you know, what was your start in music? Your dad played in a band and now you play, you know, and we'll talk about you, your music, and then we'll do a fun speed round. And that's just a great way for your fans and your audience to meet you. And especially when we started it was during quarantine. So no one could just talk to you right after a set. And this is because like that became a way for us to share with bands, musicians, for you to share your personality, get to essentially be like a weird meet and greet for fans to meet you. And if you want to be on the show, there's like a little link on our Instagram in our link tree, and you just have to fill it out. We check it every week or 2 weeks, and then we'll hit you up about being on the show.
Absolutely. That's sick. So where can everyone find out more information about Santoku Media and the Cookhouse? Like, where should people look?
So you can essentially find everything from either
You there?
Okay, there we go. I was about to text you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What was the last thing you heard?
It was weird. My internet just went 0, and then now it's back to normal. Once in a great while it does that. Okay, so the last thing that we were going over, I was asking, where can everyone find out more about everything? And you said so, and it was like
oh, perfect. So I don't have to like resay everything. So so you can find the company at santoku-media.com. That's I just changed out the handles, so I'm still getting used to saying that. And you can also find us on Instagram at Santoku Media. And then everything else, if you want to find our latest music video, you can find it in a link tree. You can find the latest episode up to the Cookhouse there, and you can keep up with what we're doing from our latest music videos. We just did a music video for Foxflower, Ivy Paint, For the Best, and those are going to be dope, and they're about to come out soon. So yeah, keep up with us, see what we're doing. If you message us, we'll more than likely respond. I'll more likely respond to you. So
awesome. Yes. And guys, please, if you're listening and you have any thoughts or questions about anything that we discussed, please feel free to drop a comment, message either Christian or myself, whatever, like, because we are here to help and we want to see everyone succeed further and further and further with what we're doing. And that's why we've got the rubric going on. That's why we're doing the Battle of the Bands and everything. So yeah, so I just want to say a huge shout out to Christian. Thank you for being here on the podcast.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you to everybody that's been listening and checking us out. And we look forward to meeting at least some of you, hopefully, at the Battle of the Bands coming up. Otherwise, we will be putting out more content in the near future, and we will see you then.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Any questions? Sorry, I don't know. And fuck them haters that pretend. If you wanna spot me, sorry, I don't know you. 'Cause I cannot sleep.